Where are we?
We are in Vancouver, British Columbia, in the woods, riding dirt bikes and ATVs and allowing ourselves to play. Are you intimidated by personal development? Is the idea of diving into your discomfort and the trauma and the wounding, does that scare you? Because I know that my journey has looked like seeking out all the parts of myself that felt incomplete or wounded or traumatized and diving in to heal them so I could return to wholeness. And I believe that there's a different way of doing it. Currently, my focus is in diving into the play and the fun and the joy that will create a contrast. It'll create a contrast to see the parts of yourself that are actually not in resonance with the part of you that wants to live your most full life. And so I apply that concept with all of my clients, and today's episode is about the deep dive, immersion experience into unlocking your inner artist that I designed for my client Raj. And I brought out a team of facilitators. I brought out Hart to do voice activation. I brought out Matt to do body work. I have Ryan and Hunter with me all the time. And we dove into our creative cocoon and invited Raj in to experience what that's like so that he has the opportunity to have his stuff that's not in resonance rise to the surface and also bring that back into his life and apply it in the same way that you're able to apply it to yours, which we'll get into later in the video.
How's your morning going?
Good. We got some movement in, got some exercise, and then dropped in with my client Raj and had a really good alignment conversation for this morning. I'm recognizing more and more just the validity to this concept of, instead of diving into shadow, dive into fun and play and joy, and know that anything that's not in resonance will totally rise to the surface.
Is that already happening?
Yeah, it's totally already happening. Just because what happens is when you're in a state of joy and play and fun, you now have a reference point that you will look at the other aspects of your life through. It's what happened with Azria at Burning Man, where I met Ruby and was having so much play and fun, etc. And all of a sudden I now had this reference point of, wow, why did I not notice that I was not this person very often over the last 6 months of my relationship? Maybe the whole thing, who knows? Like, now I want to have fun all the time and find ways to build my business and my income and all of that from the way that I'm living my life as opposed to the other way around. So it's the contrast that is key. This personal development game is about seeing contrast, polarity between two points, where you are or where you want to be. And so when you have this feedback of, whoa, I didn't like how I showed up in that experience, or I love how this person's living their life, or XYZ, fill in the blank. When you have that reference point, you can now acclimate yourself. You can set your GPS to get there or to get there based on what you want, not based on what's empirically right or better. What do you want? And how will you know you want it without the contrast of what you don't want? And so the key to finding this contrast in your life is to set the containers for you to experience the contrast. Meaning, what is the space you're creating to find out what parts of yourself you currently don't like? What's the contrast? What is the experience that you've set up to see the aspects of your relationship that you want to shine even greater levels of love on? And in creativity, as an artist, what is the container that you are creating to allow for freedom of expression? That's what we do all the time with very little planning. Most of the time, we just set the space for creativity to flow. So when working with creative people and doing these containers where we just want to be creative, whatever that looks like, whatever that means, we don't actually know. So when you do that, it's amazing to see the types of creativity that come alive and what people do, because everyone has their own unique creative skill sets and what they love and aesthetics. And so now we get to see Ryan and Hunter and Hart in their creative flow right now as we sneak up on them.
What's up, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, in slow motion. Like...
Okay, what if you guys are like interacting here and this is in the foreground and you guys are just like hugging and doing a thing?
All right, so we just got to examine the creative abilities of the team and what they do when they are let loose into the world with cameras and nothing else. That's the thing that is so cool about creativity and creative energy, is all you have to do is just give yourself permission to play. Because in many ways, creativity is just that, right? Just letting your imagination run wild, letting yourself play and dream, and you don't need much to do that. Pen, paper, maybe, camera, maybe, but even then, just a beautiful space to do anything. And for all the people who have said to me over the years, I'm not creative, not me, but about themselves, saying, I'm not creative. I used to think that I'm not artistic, but really, what is that saying? It's saying I don't have imagination, and that's just not true. Everyone has imagination. So if you're watching this, if this makes it into any sort of content, if you have imagination, then you are creative. Plain and simple. If you have an imagination, you are creative and you can do anything. Just create the container, create the space to be creative. That's it. Create the space. You don't need much, just willingness. And this is still personal development work. This is still part of your spiritual evolution, because you're not avoiding the wounding. You're not avoiding the discomfort or the shadow. In fact, what you're doing is creating an opportunity for it to arise naturally. What wants to be released? Well, when I'm in my space of fun and play and joy, something that is not in resonance with that will rise to the surface. I don't know what it is, but I don't need to go and sink into the depths of darkness to find it. I'm gonna play up here in the love and see what shows up. And that works, by the way. This used to be conceptual, but I've seen it time and time again that it will happen. Your shadow will rise as it's ready to be released, because the only way out is through. And so that's what happened for all of us on our last day. On our last day, there were tears shed by everyone. I got to see Ryan cry for the very first time. And can I tell you that I wish I had a camera. I'm just not in the mindset of being the one behind the camera, so I missed it. But trust me when I say Ryan cried, and he's beautiful when he cries. So Ryan, if you're watching this, cry even more, man. Let it out. Let's have a cry fest. And everyone went into breakdown. And for me, mine happens to be on camera, and that's what this looked like.
Today has been the hardest day I've had since Azri and I broke up. And I keep forgetting as I'm in all of this. I'm in this show and I'm in this immersion and I'm in so much that I'm still in the most painful experience that I've ever gone through in my life with this breakup. And I keep finding myself surprised at how many tears I still have in me. Because when I feel into it, there's just seems to be no bottom to it. And so when the breakdowns happen, even though I can see the growth that's there and the beauty that's there, feeling like somehow, like, what am I doing? Feeling lonely today for the first time in 9.5 years. I've forgotten what that feeling feels like. And to like sit outside and feel lonely and go, oh my God. And like feel for that part of myself where when I felt the tad bit small or isolated, I could feel Azria. And I could feel her. And reaching for that in that moment just by habit and her not being there. And just I'm trying to choose love in every moment. And I'm doing the best that I can. I choose to trust. I choose to trust that it's exactly what we all need for our evolution. And so my bud is seen when we look back on this. A week, 2 weeks, 2 months. We go, wow. I can trace back this change when we're living in that moment where we're like, whoa. This moment of joy and bliss was made possible because of something that happened during that weekend.
And so breakdowns happen. I want to reframe the word breakdown into something else. I haven't decided on what that is yet. And they happen. The beautiful thing is that after they happen, that energy has moved through. It's no longer stagnant being held in your body. There's been a space created for it to move out of your system, and you will feel better on the other side of it. You will feel lighter and you will feel less dense. You will be vibrating at a higher frequency.
Today is the final day of the Unlock Your Inner Artist immersion, and what I'm realizing more and more is that really what we do is create powerful containers. We create really powerful containers. We outline the parameters of it. We create the structure for it, and then we let it go. And we just all stay super present, and we stay in the moment and trust that by doing that, it's going to work out. There's something greater than us at play as long as we get out of the way. Last night at dinner felt like a culmination of something that had been building for a while. And we talked about this yesterday on the dock, where things build and they build and they build. And when there's that moment of release, the container has broken. You have burst through the walls of limits of what was holding that in. And the cool thing is that that's expansion, right? The moment that what you were holding bursts, it's not a breakdown. It's not anything other than you have now expanded. And so I'm grateful for that expansion, even if it looked like snotting all over myself and my plate for 30 minutes.
How do you feel this morning?
I feel much better this morning. Yesterday morning, I was here on the dock crying for a while. It's what I did all day yesterday, was cry. And today, I can actually feel a lightness to everyone this morning. I saw Hunter crouched over by a wheelbarrow, just like shooting up close a wheelbarrow, and I was like, yes, like he's just in that creative excitement and play. And I hear Raj just laughing his ass off in the kitchen about who knows what, and everyone feels lighter. And it reminds me of plant medicine ceremonies like ayahuasca, where you go into it and everyone's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, we just trusting this experience, and then it goes dark and happy. There's all these moments of polarity of the human experience, and then the morning rolls around and everyone is just, you can just feel the density that has dropped off and the weight that has been lifted, and that's what it kind of feels like this morning, actually. So I feel as if we successfully created a 4-day ceremony experience for all of us. And that's something that I get so much out of this, because I recognize that even if we're creating the experience for someone else, we're creating it for ourselves too. We're going to get just as much out of it and grow and expand and laugh and play and cry just as much, as long as we're open to that.
This is the end.
This is the end.
This is
the
the
end
This is
of
the
the
end.
Unlock Your Inner Artist immersion. Here, 5 hours drive from Vancouver. Yeah, nature is medicine. That's another sentence, but it works.
Nature is medicine. There's something about being somewhere where you can't hear traffic sounds and you can't hear just the noise of technology in cities and stuff that feels so good. It's like the system can actually just like relax in a way that it can't do in cities.
Deep state of
especially in
peace
LA.
you didn't even know was possible.
Be
You're like,
still
wow.
for 1 minute. The only thing that you'll hear is nature. The raven. So the raven medicine in Native American culture is the symbol of transformation, symbol of change. New beginnings,
What
new
a
change.
powerful moment. That
The
was
timing
good
on that was
call.
ridiculous.
Nice grid work. Wait for it. The raven.
So are you willing to give it a try? Are you willing to set aside the idea that we have to dive into the shadow and instead adopt the concept that you can dive into the light? What does it look like for you to create the space, the intentional containers to be creative, to have fun, to play like a little kid? What does that look like for you? Can you trust that that is just as valuable, just as much work to develop yourself and expand your life as any of the dark trauma shadow work? We are not avoiding anything. We are inviting a different way of being by choosing love as the compass, living in love as often as possible. What do you got to lose? You are seen, you are heard, and you are loved. Thank you so much for watching this and taking the time out of your day to commit to the art of choosing love. And it is my hope that by showing you my heart, showing you the vulnerable, authentic, real sides of what I'm going through in my life, it will inspire you to share more of your heart and your authenticity and your unique voice with the world. And we want this to be a growing tribe. And in order for that to happen, we want you. So please subscribe, share this with your loved ones, engage in the comments with others who are on the same journey as you of using love as the compass. You are always, in all ways, seen, heard, and loved.